Hey guys, coldbrew here. Welcome back to another raid video. We have big news today that might change the way you think of the next upcoming fusion. And the reason that I'm saying this is we have news of 2 new champions. They're going to be a pair. And I am guessing that this pair group champions are going to be very, very strong together. It's just insane. So I'm trying to collect all my resources and just see where this takes me, because one will be a fusion. Yeah, that's going to be doable for the most part for the majority of players out there. But the other one, as we're used to, it's probably going to be through shards or maybe some sort of event. Who knows? That's going to require spending. The worst case scenario would be strictly shards, but we'll see about that. Before we get started, this could be a really tempting thing to have in front of you guys. So when you see these sort of champions thinking, oh, I gotta get them, but honestly, it all depends on what other champions you have and how those are going to change the way you play the game. So don't just go after champions just because they're the newest brand new thing. Let's go and have a look at Nuldua the Gloaming. They should have called her Gleaming. I don't know. Gloaming. Yeah, Nuldua the Gloaming. She is going to be the new upcoming fusion champion. Starts on the 9th, I believe. So yeah, it's gonna make for an interesting addition to the game. On her own, she doesn't have something that screams I want to get her personally, like zero, honestly. So 50% chance to place an enfeeble debuff for 2 turns if the target's a boss places a weaken instead. And if Solanar the Gleaming, so the corresponding other champion that she's gonna be paired with, all right, this debuff cannot be resisted. Okay, so that's going to be the theme for her. So she has a chance to remove all buffs from all enemies, and then this effect cannot be resisted if Solanar is in the same squad, and she can also place decreased defense. And if Solanar, she doesn't need accuracy, which is fantastic so far if you have both of them. If Solanar is on the same team, also places a 50% increase attack on all allies for 2 turns, so she buffs every single one of your allies at the same time. So she can apply decreased defense, she can apply weaken on a single target, decreased defense is on an AoE, and then she also has a revive. And if Solanar is on the same team, revives them with 100% turn meter instead. So that's fantastic. 100% turn meter, it does not mean it feels turn meter to the full. Other enemies who are at 100% will go before you, so have that in mind, guys. And then she also places a shield buff on all allies equal to 30% of this champion's max HP for 2 turns. So 4 turn cooldown when this goes. And then finally her passive, all turn meter effects used by enemies are 30% less effective. And then if Solanar is on the same squad, she feels turn meter by 30%. If there are multiple champions, blah blah blah, only one will activate. She also has an aura for increasing ally accuracy in all battles by 70. So does she on her own look like an amazing champion? No chance. It's going to be a decreased defense champion plus a reviver. If you don't have that for this faction, guys, the Dark Elves, you can go for her. Personally, when I first saw her, I thought, oh man, this is such a trash fusion. But then I saw the accompanying champion. I thought, all right, wait a minute. Let's go and have a look at her again and see. It seems that she's gonna be worth just because of Solanar. We'll have a look at Solanar right now, and I'll tell you guys, it's gonna be very difficult to get him for sure because he's a void champion. All right, let's have a look at Solanar. Here he is, the Gleaming. All right, yeah, she's glowing, he's gleaming. All right, void attack based. Not what we're used to, guys, in terms of power, like having attack-based champions. But again, the pair of the two together, it's gonna be really difficult to work with, I believe. I don't know. We'll see. So he's got an AoE on his A1. This attack will always be critical if Nuldua is in the same team. So you see how he becomes so good. If you have her, you don't need crit on him, you don't need crit rate, and that's gonna make it so much easier for you guys to build him out and just go straight up damage. There's very few champions in the game that can crit without having crit rate, so he's gonna be one of them when Nuldua is on the same team. He has a chance to place a fatigue debuff on all enemies. So what fatigue does, guys, is when they take a turn and use a skill, once that turn is finished, they get a sleep debuff. There's I believe the panda champion, what's his name, And forgot he has that, and he applies it on himself. The passive effect has an 80% chance to counterattack with this skill whenever an enemy gets an extra turn or has an instant turn effect activated. So very straight up example, if you've got Rotos against you, he has an extra turn effect, which is basically like an instant turn when you drop him under 50%. And any enemies with even Relentless set, they're gonna proc this. So it's gonna make it very interesting. He's gonna counterattack with this. He'll be able to apply the fatigue debuff. Has a 15% chance to counterattack with this skill whenever an enemy has their turn meter increased. So already that becomes very strong. But again, if he's counterattacking all the time, he's gonna be waking them up from the sleep debuff. So I'm not sure what's up with that. Attacks one enemy, it's his A2. This attack is always critical if Nuldua is on the same team. Will ignore 10% of the target's defense for each buff on this champion. 10% of defense for each buff, guys. 10% of defense for each buff. He's got 3 buffs, that's 30% immediately. So we're talking already, you can have him with any gear you want, even Stone Skin, that counts as a buff, right? So that gives him 10% ignore defense. So if you want to have some other gearing in him, for example, you can have Blood Shield accessories that gives him a shield. The shield counts as a buff. That's 10% extra ignoring defense. The blessings you have on him, you can have different blessings on him that are considered buffs, and that counts. It just becomes crazy, such a crazy thing. This champion is immune to all debuffs while this skill is not on cooldown. So when you don't use it, you're immune to debuffs. Whenever an enemy attempts to place a debuff on this champion, well, this skill is on cooldown, this champion gains a random buff instead. So if they try to apply debuffs on you, you get buffs. Buffs give you ignore defense. It doesn't say though how long the duration of those buffs are going to be. And then after this, before attacking, steals all buffs and 100% turn meter from the target if they're not under a Stone Skin buff. So if they're not under a Stone Skin buff, he just completely strips all their buffs, gets their turn meter, and that basically gives him an extra 10, so he can go with the A2 next. This effect cannot be resisted. This attack is always critical. Will ignore Stone Skin buffs. So if you do have a Stone Skin buff, he's going to go through it and damage the opponent. This champion receives 75% less damage on an enemy, on enemy extra turns or instant turns while this skill is not on cooldown. So if they happen to get an extra turn or instant turn before he goes, so he doesn't use this, he's going to be able to receive 75% less damage. That is very strong. While this skill is on cooldown, reduces the cooldown by 1 turn. Whenever an enemy receives an extra turn, has an instant turn activated on them, or has their turn meter increased. So this, just boosting turn meter, this is quite insane. But I'm not sure on how this is going to work on multiple targets receiving turn meter boost. So 3 targets in arena, that's going to reduce this cooldown by what? Is it going to reduce it by 3? So it's not a chance to reduce it, it reduces it, guys. So finally, the passive, whenever an enemy receives healing, he has a 100% chance to reduce that amount to 0. This champion will receive that healing instead. If Nuldua is on the same team, enemies will receive damage equal to the amount of healing instead. This is nuts, guys. It doesn't say anything about bosses that heal, so you can have some fun with that for sure. And then once per round, if this champion is dead, revives the champion with 100% health, 100% turn meter when their last living ally is killed. So everybody else has to die and he'll revive. Then places a magma shield, which has a value equal to 300% of this champion's max health. If Nuldua is on the same team, this buff is protected. So this becomes a protected magma shield. You want to have them two together for sure if you're going to have this champion. I love this champion's skill set. It makes it very interesting. Void attack base, so you're gonna know that their the damage ratios are gonna be higher. Of course, the game is all about mythicals at the moment. I want to say that mythicals just rule the game, is where we are in terms of PvP, but it's of course something you want to have fun with, having those two champions together, having always critical makes you able to just boost your attack, boost your crit damage way more, boost your speed, have a high speed damage delay. If you don't want to boost your speed, because Solanar has that thing where he receives less damage. If you have a look at his skill set again, he receives less damage when he doesn't get when he receives damage on enemy extra turns or instant turns. This is pretty insane. The thing is, it's not that many enemies that have the extra turn or instant turn mechanics, so it's not that he is gonna be the new meta, I don't think, but it all depends if enemies are using stuff like Relentless Stone Skin, which is not that often seen, although it is a build you'll see in PvP. Again, this champion will not be guaranteed though. He is probably going to be part of some sort of event. That's why I'm kind of saving things up. Anyway, I was saving them up because of the Assassin's Creed thing we had. Well, we have. I thought we were going to have something like guaranteed on one of the Assassins. I didn't care for so much in spending my shards. So I do have some. I used up my primals, but I'm basically at a really good point right now. If something comes up, I can basically pick it up, unless it's void. If it's 120 voids champion, I'm not gonna get Solanar. I'm not gonna spend to get him. You see, guys, how the meta changes. You get one champion, 6 months later, it's not gonna be the part of the meta. So it all depends on how you see the game and how you like to spend your money in the game. As I said, guys, this is a fun combo that you're gonna have together, but you basically need to get the fusion champion. So I'm gonna be going for the fusion champion must have if you want to have that synergy. Does that mean I'm gonna get Solanar? No, I don't know if I'm gonna get him, but at least if I have her, those two are gonna work so well together. It's not like other duos we have. It's not like Sifi and Rotos. We know that, but it is what it is, guys. That was the video for today. We'll see if we get some more new champions for the organized. That's gonna be fun. Thank you all, guys. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.